Hello, this is your special education virtual content specialist here with the 6th grade lesson for April 8th. As a reminder, this lesson and all other lessons can be found on TeachHub. As with all of our lessons, we provide for teachers the title, the focus question, the learning objective, the standards, and lesson objectives for each lesson. We also provide guidance for using this resource, including instructional and technology guidance, implementation guidance for each slide in the lesson, guidance for summarizing, guidance for assessment during instruction, and general methods for engaging with students with disabilities and multilingual learners. 6th graders are working on Unit 7, Rational Numbers, Day 18, Points on the Coordinate Plane. What do the coordinates of a point on the graph tell you about the line? The introduction will present a blank coordinate plane to students, and you're going to ask them what do they notice and what do they wonder. After students are done writing down their noticings and wonderings, invite a few of them to share what they've noticed and wondered until a student points out that there are no labels on the axes. At this point, you should ask, how should we label the axes? If no student points this out, this would be a great time to show the students that the axes are not labeled, and you should ask them how they should be labeled. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to label the axes Y and X. We will further build upon the introduction, and you're going to have your students choose a horizontal or vertical line on the grid and draw 4 points on the line and label each point with its coordinates. An anticipated misconception is that some students may not remember that the first coordinate in an ordered pair corresponds to the horizontal coordinate, and the second coordinate in the ordered pair corresponds to the vertical coordinate. For this reason, you should display the ordered pair x, y, or even horizontal, vertical to remind students of the order. To further support students with disabilities, you can also plot the 4 points in a horizontal or vertical fashion and just have the students label each of those coordinate points. So the major takeaway of this discussion is that the points on the same horizontal line share the same y coordinates, and the points on the same vertical line share the same x coordinate. And so after students share their coordinates of their 4 points, you should ask the rest of their class if the given points are on the same horizontal or vertical line and to explain how they know. And to help guide this conversation, you might want to ask questions like, how do you know the points fall on the same line? Or how do you know the points are on a horizontal or vertical line? Could you name other points on the same line? How far is each of the points from one another? Or how far is each point from the x-axis and the y-axis? So the explorer is going to present an image of an archery target on a coordinate plane. The scores for landing an arrow in the colored regions are as follows. Yellow is 10 points, red is 8 points, blue is 6 points, green is 4 points, and white is 2 points. The explorer asks students to name the coordinates for a possible landing point to score the following points, but I highly suggest divvying up into an I do, we do, you do. So A and B would be an I do, C and D would be the we do, and E and F would be the you do. So you would demonstrate to students that in order to score 6 points, they would have to score at -2, -4 as an example. So it's very close to not scoring 6 points, but you want to show students that it's still in the blue region. And so here we're going to write down -2, -4. Then we have a score of 10 points, and that would be negative 4.5 comma negative 4, and we're going to plot that there, approximately in the center. For the we do, you're going to ask for students' responses to share with the class. And so some possible coordinates for scoring 2 points include negative 4 comma positive 1. And so we'll go ahead and plot it right there, approximately. An example score for no points would be negative 10 comma positive 1. So we'll go ahead and plot that. And you should point out to students how it's outside of the white circle, which is indicated by the black border. For 4 points, students need to get a score inside of the green. So an example would be right here at negative 8 comma negative 2. And for the last one, 8 points, they need to score within red. So they can score at negative 6 comma negative 5. Now in this portion of the Explore, students are given 2 word problems. One is that Andre shot 3 arrows and they've landed at negative 5 comma 4, negative 8 comma 7, and 1 comma 6. What is his total score? So to help with students with disabilities, you can mark those points, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Students should be able to notice that Andre's total score is 14 points because negative 5 comma 4 is 6 points, negative 8 comma 7 is 8 points, and 1 comma 6 is 0 points. The second question asks, Jada shot an arrow and scored 10 points. She shot a second arrow that landed directly below the first one but scored only 2 points. Name 2 coordinates that could be the landing points for her 2 arrows. And so this is a chance for students to realize that they're going to be in a vertical line. So this brings it back to their exploratory activity. And so an example of responses include negative 7 comma positive 5 and negative 7 comma 1. For students who need further assistance with, especially with that second problem, you could draw essentially the domain for the 10-point barrier. So realistically, a student could only choose numbers between negative 8 and negative 6. And that it's probably best that they choose negative 7 to create that line essentially. So it connects back to the exploratory activity. This portion of the Explore asks students to pretend that they're stuck in a coordinate plane and that they could only take vertical and horizontal steps that are 1 unit long. Question 1 asks, how many ways are there to get from the point negative 3 comma 2 to negative 1 comma negative 1 if you will only step down and to the right? So students will have to realize that there are about 10 ways or 10 paths. Question 2, how many ways are there to get from the point negative 1 comma 2 to 4 comma 0 if you can only step up and to the right, and that will create 21 paths. And question 3 is to make up some more problems like this and see what patterns that they notice. And so answers are going to vary, and this problem is mostly an exercise in careful counting, although some students are going to realize that the first problem amounts to counting how many ways there are to arrange 2 steps to the right and 3 steps down. And so for some students, this may be an easier representation of the problem. Lastly, students are going to end the lesson by summarizing their response to the focus question, and you can support them with a sentence starter. As with most lessons, there is a support video to watch, and their families can also use the linked resources to help them with the lesson. For additional practice, students can complete IXL 6-X.2. Medium level learners can complete the Open Up resource problems, and high level students can complete Engage New York's Grade 6 Module 3 Lesson 15 problem set. And as with all of our lessons, we cite our resources. That way you can further look to these resources for any help or additional materials in working with your students. If you have any questions, please reach out to your virtual content specialist. Thank you.